Good morning, USL4Daily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Santo Torcivia, the president of Market Insights. Santo, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Kemp. How are you?
I'm good. You know, I wanted to catch up because you just released, just a couple of days ago, your first quarter market monitor, which gives a really good perspective on where we are, on all of the economic influences that affect the flooring business. I know we can't cover it all in 8 minutes, but I think right now, a lot of people are wondering what's the consumer going to do with higher gas prices, inflated prices for flooring, and, concern over what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, how that might affect sentiment. It might even affect how the consumer feels about Syria.
Well, obviously, inflation is sucking a lot of money out of people right now, and mainly in the form of energy costs, which affect everything. Yeah. Everything from transportation costs to fiber to, for that matter, pharmaceuticals. Oil is so much of a feedstock for a lot of things. It's not just gasoline and diesel. It's a lot of things. When it goes up like it's been going up, it affects a lot of other items and industries. The other thing, actually, that people haven't been focusing on are labor costs. Labor costs have been rising throughout 2021, about 4 to 5%. That's hurting companies' ability to be competitive. We raised the minimum wage, and that's a big deal for a lot of industries because it raises the cost of picking apples to any number of things. The other side of it is labor productivity is not going up, and that's a bulwark against inflation. The more productivity goes up, the more people do for the same amount of money. That keeps inflation down. The federal debt is $32 trillion, which makes interest rates go up and the money supply go up. And we have seen a huge increase in the money supply. So once we get better policies that address these issues, especially energy, I'm dead set against sitting on a pot of oil and turning the country into an energy beggar when we were energy exporters. And that's a good way to get the inflation down, is dumping oil on the market and lowering the price.
So let's step back for a minute and take a look. We've got this COVID situation which kept everybody at home, and they wanted to fix their nest, and they invested heavily, and we've enjoyed the last 18 months of solid sales on the residential replacement business, and while also the builder business has been strong. So we've got that, and we've got some momentum going. I've seen your preliminary numbers on the read for the year end. And what's your call on the growth within the flooring business in 2021 right now, your preliminary read?
There's an anomaly in our analysis because in 2020, we closed the economy for, February and part of March. So it's it's kind of an apples and orange comparison. But it doesn't change the fact that 2021 was a very strong year. Every category was up double digits. Imports were up double digits. And a lot of that growth on the import side, and for that matter on the consumption side, was the result of inventory building, where people were anticipating price increases and buying ahead of those price increases, or anticipating supply chain disruptions and buying ahead of those disruptions so they could bridge over any shortfalls in inventory that they might have. All in all, it was a very strong year. And we're expecting 2022 to be at least equal to that, especially on the residential side.
The unknown is the consumer's behavior, because the builder forecast is going to be, just off slightly, just a hair, and the commercial is going to continue to build, right?
Yeah, and you have to remember 2021 was a solid year for building. It was up 13%. So if you're flat on a 13% increase, you're doing really good. Plus, we're skewing our starts now more towards single family, and that's also, a single family home is much larger than a multifamily home, so there's more floor to fill, and that's a good thing too. And generally, they're more expensive, and generally too, people upgrade on single families. That you see more upgrades in single families than you do in multifamilies, so that's a good thing for the industry as well.
I was looking at your bullet points in the executive summary, and it says consumer spending last year was up 7.9%, 8% over 2020.
Right.
And you're forecasting it just to be down a little bit, down 2.8 in 22 over 21. So that's still up over some good numbers. And then home remodeling, you're talking about that being forecasted to rise 8.4% in 2022, right?
Yeah, people are still very strong on upgrading their homes and taking the opportunity now, especially with gas being so expensive. It's hard to take a driving vacation, or for that matter, any vacation, because even the airlines use jet fuel. And if you looked at airfare prices, they're quite higher than they were in the past. So people, I think, are staying home more and fixing up the house to do that.
Yeah.
And now we've got a growing trend with bringing the inside outside, and people are starting to look at that as a possibility, and flooring that can go both ways are going to have an advantage.
All right, well, we're getting ready to start, you and I, on our May annual report issue, so we'll have a lot better numbers then. We're just now working on those numbers now, so you'll get a read then. Also, if anybody is interested in taking a look at your market monitor, they can contact you. How is the best way to get a hold of you?
Go to our website at marketinsightsllc.com.
Okay, Santo, thanks for the read and telling our listeners a little bit about what's going on in the economy that's going to affect flooring sales. Again, we're talking to Santo Torcivia, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.